Is it easy to build an Amazon business? No, it's hard. Is it simple? Not really. There's a lot of steps, but the concept is simple. Dan, this is really cool because we get to get your favorite tips from the Start course, which is part of the 5-course Amazon FBA Mastery membership by Just One Dime. How does it feel to have this huge update on the Start course complete?
It's awesome, Seth. I really enjoyed the update. I think we've moved things to like a whole new level. And it's like any business, you're always learning more. So I think it's really cool that we've been able to kind of integrate all those new learnings. And I understand you wanted to ask me just like my top tips from like each section we've done.
Yeah.
So excited to do this and also share this with the viewers.
Absolutely. So here's my first question. So from the first section of the Start course, build your business from a solid foundation. What is the most important tip you can give to the listeners today?
I would definitely say GCIDs was a very new thing, which are global catalog identifiers. And if you've been selling on Amazon, you know when you add a product to the platform, you have to use like an EAN or a UPC. But Amazon now assigns these things called GCIDs, but only for brand registered sellers. And that then allows them, those brand registered sellers, to use GCIDs instead of EANs or UPCs. But what's even more powerful with these new codes is that the GCID is linked to a product, not a listing. And so when a brand registered seller sells internationally, the GCID, because it's linked to the product, not a listing in one market, it allows that brand registered seller to have more assurance of things like winning the buy box on their product, on moving other features across all these marketplaces. So that was a really unique and really valuable thing, I thought.
What about this section, Dan? Set up your company. Like there's a whole section in Amazon FBA Mastery with Just One Dime that explains how do I set up my company correctly? What kind of company structure do I need? You know, what about liability, tax? I mean, it goes really deep on all of this stuff because we want people to have a solid foundation. We don't want them to just sell stuff on Amazon. We want them to have a company that protects them and that's scalable. So if you were to give the listeners, okay, what's the most important tip from this section, what would you say?
100% run a company. I think we explained that really well, especially, you know, even with a limited liability company. I quite like the name because it really explains the main benefit, which is limited liability for you. So if something goes wrong with your business is liable in itself, not you with, you know, your house, your vehicle. That can't be taken away from you. It's on your company.
Yeah.
Actually, the introduction of LLCs historically led to a huge amount of capitalism and growth because people had this freedom to take more risk. So understanding that and why you want to run a company, not just because of that limited liability, but also in minimizing costs, in the tax advantages. For example, in most countries, personal tax is much higher than corporate tax or company tax rates. So you're saving there as well. And then you might not need as much money as your company ends up making. So it's better for you to keep that within the company and have options rather than it's all, you know, landing in your personal bank account as you as a person and being taxed very heavily. So again, that's not tax evasion, it's tax avoidance. It's really just tax planning, totally legal. But there are these huge advantages I think we covered very well there. And overall, it would definitely be run a company.
And we have people taking FBA Mastery who are restaurant owners, who are running a nursery, who are running brick and mortar stores and are taking it to apply to their business. In this section you just spoke to alone, they said justifies it because it's helping them to set up their company, to protect them from risk and increase their profits, which I love. This next section, open your Amazon seller account. I laugh every time I think about it because if you just went back a couple years, the number one complaint Amazon sellers had was there is a Chinese Amazon seller hijacking my listing. Now the number one complaint is I opened my Amazon account and before I sold a single thing, Amazon suspended me. And so we have this whole section that is, I think it's actually the longest training so far on how to open an Amazon seller account, how to understand brand registry, how to get comfortable with Seller Central. Like, this is huge so that people can actually open it effectively and safely. What is your favorite tip from this section?
There's a lot I can actually speak to what you just said. And the one thing is you mentioned, just the company section of this program is so valuable. And one of the biggest complaints I remember members having in the past, now we've made things a bit more succinct and concise and a lot better. But one of the biggest complaints was there's so much. There's so much in here. And that's because both you and I, as we've built our businesses and the other coaches within Just One Dime, as you learn things, you want to document and teach them. And so it's created a lot of content there we've had to minimize. But overall, on this section, in terms of your seller account, I think the biggest things definitely start in the US. The US sales volume is just so massive in comparison to the rest. In fact, it accounts for 70% of all other market sales. So it's just a huge marketplace, and that's where you want to begin, in my opinion. There's also, related another section within the course where we talk about product ROE, which is like return on energy, because every listing product that you release needs a supplier relationship. It needs a lot of your energy and development. And so some people say, well, if I have like 10 listings, each selling a little bit less, well, that's the same as if I have one listing selling as much as those 10 together.
Right.
Well, not really, because the return on energy for that one listing is just so much higher. You've got one supplier relationship. And the point of this is that in the US, your ROE is much higher because those sales volumes are just so much greater. So that would be the big thing, I would say.
Yeah. I just want to take a really quick moment and let's watch this video from a Just One Dime student. They posted this online. They just want to share their experience. We didn't pay them to do this or anything. They just love it. I want you guys to see this video. Here we go.
Are you thinking about creating your own business, but you still haven't figured out where to start? Do you feel overwhelmed by all the information you find in the internet, but you still have no clue where to begin? I was just like you guys a year ago. I always had this strong desire to create something big in my life. New source of income or just the financial freedom that we all want. And here's when my e-commerce journey began. Amazon was growing exponentially, and I saw the opportunity right away. I was confident that I was going to be able to create a good foundation for my business in this huge online platform. So I decided to research how to do it. Guys, it took me months on researching videos on YouTube, reading forums on how to create your business, how Amazon works, everything regarding this. And the information was just all over the place. I just didn't feel confident moving forward with my project without strong guidance on how to really do it. So at the end of the day, I just concluded, Natalia, you're just wasting your time. I was wasting literally my life. So guys, here is when I cannot emphasize enough in the importance of investing in a good comprehensive training program. Guys, if you're serious about taking your life to the next level, you must invest in yourself. You must invest in education. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just model exactly what other ones have done successfully, and you will be automatically much closer to achieve your own goals. So finally, when I made the decision in taking this project much seriously, I decided to looking for a course, a comprehensive training program where is going to be worth my money and my time. So evaluating between cost versus value, I came across with this course called Just One Dime. Just One Dime, I found it to be one of the most comprehensive training programs, step by step, in-depth step by step, very straightforward. And one of the things that I love the most about it is that they not only help you to create a product, but a legitimate business. I found all the coaches in this course successful Amazon sellers. And for me, it was just amazing to learn from someone who already know what works and what doesn't. Another thing that I found fascinating is the constant motivation. Guys, believe me when I said this, but it's very easy to get discouraged when you start finding difficulties along the way and you don't have anybody that guide you on what you're doing wrong and what you should be doing. I remember back in the days when I signed up, I was automatically part of this Facebook group community, private Facebook group community. That's something additional from the course that you acquire. And everybody was so friendly, so welcoming. You feel like part of a new family. And for me, it was just amazing reading success stories, getting inspired, or just learning from other ones' mistakes. Guys, do you know what stops people from succeeding? No taking action. No taking action. And you might be wondering, well, of course, Natalia, I'm taking action. I'm slowly doing my research and getting there one day. Guys, but if you promise to live 200 years, that's fine. But the moment is now. It's now. Just remember for an instance, what's your why? What's your ultimate goal with all this information, watching this video? Maybe you're looking for a better quality life. Maybe you want to provide more happiness to your loved ones. Just remember this. Clarity is power. Clarity is power. If you know where you want to go, it will be much easier to get where you want to be. Guys, I just want to conclude saying that Just One Dime community has helped me so much in my life, not just in my business, but in my personal life, that honestly, I thought this information was worth sharing. Thank you.
Dan, that video reminds me when I watch these videos again, why we do what we do. It literally, lives can be changed if they build it right. Is it easy to build an Amazon business? No, it's hard. Is it simple? Not really. There's a lot of steps, but the concept is simple. We sell products in Amazon, Amazon fulfills them, customers buy them from around the world, and you make money. Like that really is the basic concept if you break it down, which brings me to the next section of the Start course inside FBA Mastery membership. Create your brand strategy. Dan, we talk so much about building a brand versus just slapping a label on your product and shipping in Amazon. And since Bobby McGee's selling, well, I think mine will sell too. And we know that doesn't work. So what are your most important tips from the Create Your Brand Strategy section of the Start course from FBA Mastery?
I would say definitely the trademark spectrum that we outline there in terms of going from a descriptive brand name and exactly what that is, all the way through like suggestive brand names to fictitious. And maybe we could put up just a screenshot of one of the slides here, but explaining like a fictitious brand name, that's going to be so much easier for you to go and trademark. If it's something like really descriptive, it's going to be so much harder for you to actually trademark that name. And trademarking becomes really important for brand registry primarily. So that would be the number one thing. And related there is how to come up with those fictitious brand names. We list like all these different areas and just ways to think about it, whether it's a fantasy name or a place of origin or an abbreviation. like these ways to begin brainstorming really cool fictitious names. And a fictitious or fanciful name is like a made up name, but you can probably see the benefit there. Easier to trademark, but also you could go into like any product niche or category. You're not locking yourself into like, kitchen products with Kitchen Pro, which would be a bit more descriptive of a name. If you have a more fanciful name, think like Kodak, Rolex. Yes, we know what they sell, but they could have really gone into anything.
So true.
Even Amazon, that's a place of origin, perhaps, but because that name's fictitious, anything can be sold there. If their name was Electronics Online, it'd be very difficult for them to, sell pet products. So it would seem a little bit disjointed. But definitely that on fictitious names, how to come up with them and the benefits of those.
Yeah, I'd have to ask this question. It's not, before I move on to the next section, how many combined hours do you think you and I have spent putting this training together? Like, realistically, truly, no exaggerations, combined.
I have no idea. Since the very beginning, I remember, if you recall, when I had like all the paper up on the wall. Maybe we can find an image of that. I mean, if you think about the hours since then, it's a huge amount. But that's what I love about working with you and your team, is simply that it's a big responsibility. There is a lot of negativity in the space.
Oh yeah.
You have a responsibility to train the absolute best you can. And that's why all our stuff's going into 4K. It's just like overkill, but it's because you have a responsibility to those who want to learn.
Yeah.
And I remember how difficult it is in the beginning. It's like, or when someone doesn't explain that one thing well, and you're like, oh man, I wish you like covered that little piece. That's the piece I need.
And if they miss that one thing, it can cost you hundreds of hours, because someone who had walked the path before you hadn't explained it.
And they thought it was easy because they know it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's big responsibility there. That's where we're strong, but we were almost too strong there. It was too much.
People are like, you guys are killing me. Yeah. And I just want to make it clear to everyone, when Dan says minimizing, we don't mean we're taking out important content. We mean structuring in a way that's extremely, like every single lesson has a recap at the end. So you get all the important stuff. We have a recap written below, a slideshow, a quiz to test your knowledge, and a whole section that allows you to know what the next steps are. Now I watch the training. What do I do now? And that's so important. And Dan, the next section in START is trademark your brand name. And I know you spoke a little bit about trademarks, but if you're to pull out one key thing on trademarks from START that you think, guys, you have to know this, what is it?
Yeah, definitely which part of your brand to actually trademark. So you're often going to have a logo. That's like the picture part, like like this part right here. This is your logo. You're going to have a slogan, which would be below the word mark, like Nike, just do it. And then you have your word mark, which would be, for example, just one dime. So the word mark is the part you want to trademark. That's the part you want to trademark because it's least prone to change over time. For example, this part here, this picture part, this has changed since the beginning.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, the design changes. This has not changed. So the word mark for sure. And I think we really outlined that well. I'll put up another screenshot here, just how to simply understand that. Because imagine you go ahead, you file the wrong brand element, and that then changes. That really costs you over time.
Right.
So that's the value in what we cover, and the value in the step-by-step nature of it as well.
The next section of START course talks all about how to get your brand registered on Amazon so you can protect it, so you can scale it, so you have access to tools like brand analytics. It just gives you a lot more advantages to scale your business and make more money. What's your favorite part in that section, Dan?
Definitely how to use Amazon's IP Accelerator. I think that's an excellent new program, and the detailed step-by-step how to do that, when to do that. because they actually go and apply for the trademark for you. And the big key here or advantage here is usually you're going to get your trademark. Remember, that's separate to Amazon.
Right.
You go and do that with the IP office. But once you eventually get that registered with the IP office, which usually takes like 6 months, maybe 12 months, could even be 18 months, then you can apply for brand registry with Amazon. But using the IP accelerator, the benefit here is that as soon as they apply for your mark, they can also apply for brand registry for you. You can then go ahead and apply for registry because you used IP accelerator. So you're practically saving between 6 and 18 months on getting brand registry. So definitely the most valuable in my opinion.
And the cost, in my experience, the cost for IP accelerator is very competitive and comparable to just going to a regular lawyer, trademark lawyer, and paying them to do it for you. It's not like you're going to spend a ton more to make this happen. And you can shop. You have different lawyers you can go with who are approved for the IP accelerator, which I think is phenomenal. The next section is something I rarely hear talked about in courses, but people are searching for this online all the time. And that's sales tax, accounting, and insurance. You know, a lot of people think, well, these aren't very sexy topics to talk about. You know, who wants to talk about that? But they're important to set your business up right, for it to be legit. And what would you extract as really key from this whole section that has a lot of trainings that you would like everyone to hear about today?
This is a difficult one because there are a lot of very important things. As you said, this is not the sexy part. This is the part you have to know. It's the cost of doing business. I would say the liability insurance, or just the insurance part, is very telling, because in fact, once you're doing $10,000 in proceeds per month for 3 consecutive months with Amazon, they actually require you to then get insurance for your business and maintain that insurance. So I think just little bits like that throughout the training are very important, but also talking about insurance, which is far less covered.
And what if I live in a country where Amazon does not allow me to sell on Amazon? In other words, there's a list of countries that are approved and ones that are not yet. And obviously that list keeps growing, which is great. But what if, I hear you guys talking about selling Amazon, you can make money, great, but I live in this far-flung country in the middle of nowhere. What do? There's a whole section that talks about this, selling from a non-Amazon country. What tip would you extract from this part?
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite parts, because I actually set up my accounts in the very beginning from South Africa, which was like on some lists, not on others. And so it was very complex. And this is partly why some of our start sections were so big, is because there was so much digging I also had to do in that arena, which most courses or memberships will not go into, because, just set up in the US, you're good in a week or so, or at least used to be. So when it takes 3-4 months just to get verified, there is a lot you learn. The biggest thing here is definitely ETBIS, which stands for Engaged in Trade or Business within the United States. And it's a rule by which you can determine tax eligibility in the US, or tax nexus in the US, basically. And this is only for NRAs, non-resident aliens. So if you are not a US resident, a US green card holder, anything like that, you don't have an office there, then you might be actually outside of the US tax net effectively, especially with a business like FBA. Because with FBA, you don't actually have a dependent agent in the US. If you don't have a dependent agent in the US, that's like a full-time employee or a physical location like an office, or that dependent agent does not do something substantial, is actually the term they use for your business, then you will not be ETBIS with an FBA business. And so what that means effectively is that you're not liable for the US tax side of things, remember, that doesn't mean you won't be liable in your home country. You need to look at that. But just as an example, if you live somewhere with like very good tax rates, using ETBIS, that could be a very, very good model to look into. So, and this is information from some of the top lawyers in the world on this exact stuff. So again, I think massively valuable. Like these are like lawyers who charge, thousands of dollars for hours of their time. So really valuable and deep research, and for like a niche, of sellers who might be interested in that. But 100% really interesting. I find that to also be like quite a fun area to look into and build your business effectively and in a smart fashion.
One thing I want to add, Dan, before we wrap this up, is this is just like 100th what we talked about today of just the start course. There's also find, build, launch, and grow, which follows the natural pathway of an Amazon seller step by step. The other piece is once I'm in for life. Like there's no, I don't have to wait. Oh, well, like in a year I have to pay again. And we changed that a while back ago where people would have to pay for the next year. Now, once I'm in for life. And it doesn't mean I just get a course that is static. It's being updated regularly, constantly. So I'm always getting the freshest information right there from people doing it, selling it, experiencing, hey, this is what it's like to sell on Amazon. And they take those failures and victories and put that into training to help me so I can succeed and avoid as many pitfalls as possible and increase my chance of building passive income so that I have freedom to do the things I love with the people I love.
100%, Seth. And just to close up, I would say to the viewers, I maintain you can do this without having a membership, but you're gonna have so many like fewer mistakes and mess ups if you do go with a membership, especially one like this where it's like the broadness, the scope, and then the formation, the syllabus that's created here is really going to help you move from A to B in every single one of these stages. So as well as the community. So if you're someone who wants to work with other people who are on that same journey and you want that connection, as well as even access to private sessions with coaches, I think it's just invaluable. And as Seth said as well, it's forever. So it is once. Of course, it's not, $50. It is a significant amount. But if you look at it over time, I remember I once calculated it, and like per month, it's hardly anything. It's like one of the best deals. So if you do use one of the links below, it also supports the channel. But in any case, I do hope you guys got value from this alone as well. And if it does seem interesting to you, if this is something you want more of, as Seth said, we literally gave you like 100th. If it is something that you want to see more on, and that's why I wanted to do this with Seth, is to show you this is exactly what you can expect inside. Rather than buying blind, this is the type of stuff, this is how it looks. These are the types of information you can find on different sections.
I just have to add one more thing, Dan. So here at the Just When I'm headquarters in Austin, Texas, this happened just a few days ago. When we have an update where we're sharing like, okay, guys, we got 5 new videos in the Amazon FBA Mastery membership, the entire team celebrates. Like it's literally, you hear people clapping like, hey, we got another one. Boom, we announce it. It goes on we announce it on the Facebook group. We send out an email to everyone. There's a new video or an update of a video, and everyone here celebrates. Like it's a really big deal. It's not like, oh, here's one every now and then. Like this is an entire team behind the scenes right here in the headquarters of Austin, Texas, as well as people around the world working together to pull this off. This is not a 1-man or a 2-man show. It's a whole team. And so I just want to say, for anyone who says, look, can Just One Dime help me? Yes. Are we going to make you successful? We'll never guarantee that, never promise that. It's your job to build the business, but we will do everything we can to help you. And remember, there's an entire team behind you to back you up.
100%, Seth. Well said. And I think it's very important that Seth says can't guarantee success. Think about the coffee shops in your town or city not every single coffee shop's going to be successful. There's not hundreds of them. There's a few because those ones did it right. So it really comes down to those owners of those coffee shops. But those who have built successful coffee shops can pass on to other coffee shop owners exactly how to do that. So that's the key here. I often don't push Just One Dime, and every video is telling you to, check out Just One Dime. But if you do want a step-by-step training, a membership, a community, even one-on-one private sessions, check out the links below. You can check out Just One Dime there. I love that we did this, and thank you, Seth. I think this really breaks down exactly what to expect inside, how the training's laid out, the step-by-step nature. And this is just an excellent, I think by the end of this is going to be an incredible membership as we upgrade it. So thank you, Seth, so much for sharing as well.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here on your platform.
Awesome. We'll catch you guys in the next video.